You're most likely going to know his name from the hit TV show Vikings, a show which mixed history with myth to create an extremely popular character. But who was Ragnar Lothbrok? And was he even real? Let's find out. Ragnar Lothbrok was a Viking warlord and renowned hero of Norse history that lived in the 9th century. He was both the king of Denmark and of Sweden. It's believed his full name was Ragnar Sigurdsson, as he was told in some accounts to be the son of Danish king Sigurd Ring. Now, it's important to note that the name Lothbrok, sometimes written Lodbrok, is most likely a nickname. It can be interpreted to mean hairy breeches in the Old Norse language. Not the coolest nickname for such a legendary hero, but it was believed to be derived from the breeches he wore while fighting a poison-breathing serpent, or, according to some accounts, a dragon. So, I know what you're thinking. Was Ragnar even real, or was he just a myth? Yes, he was real. However, that being said, who he actually was is a matter of huge debate among many historians. Many believe that the character depicted throughout history has been one that has been created on accident by confusing different historical accounts regarding different Viking figures. The story can often change depending on whether you're looking at the Scandinavian, French, or English historical accounts on him. We are going to try our best to simplify all available information to tell you the most commonly accepted story of the real Ragnar Lothbrok. Although stories in medieval history regarding Ragnar often differ, the parts about his raids on France and England are almost identical in every account. A reliable source, the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, comprehensively describes how Ragnar's deeds had a huge impact on the history of the 9th century. This chronicle does not end with Ragnar either. It also has tales about his sons, but that is perhaps a story for another video. Ragnar is believed to have been a big issue for both early medieval England and France, raiding the Anglian kingdoms of Northumbria and Wessex on many occasions, along with the kingdom of West Francia, concluding with the siege of Paris in 845. Ragnar had many wives, at least 3, the first being Lagertha the Shield Maiden, the second being Thora Townheart, and the third being Princess Aslaug. Each of these have their own fascinating stories which again are best left for another video. So these wives gave Ragnar many sons, all of which are also famous historical figures: Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, Halfdan Ragnarsson, Sigurd Snake in the Eye, and Uba. They were said to gain even more fame than their father, which is likely something Ragnar was very unhappy about. It's also important to note here that some, if not all of these sons are possibly adopted and not biological, as that was quite common during this time. Something else I would also like to clear up is the TV show's portrayal of Rollo as his brother. Now, although Rollo was a real person, he was likely born after Ragnar's death, so they were definitely not related and probably never met. All sources seem to agree that Ragnar died in England, although the legends of the cause of his death vary. In one story, he is killed by the Northumbrian King Aelle when he is thrown into a pit of venomous snakes. In another, he is murdered in East Anglia after befriending King Edmund. Although the date of his death is sometimes given as 840, that seems rather unlikely, as the Viking invasion of England by Ragnar's sons as revenge for their father's death takes place in 865. It does not really seem realistic that they would wait 25 years to avenge their father. So, although the history of Ragnar has been challenged and debated, it's important to note that, as I previously mentioned, that he is recorded in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. This chronicle was first compiled around 890 AD, and is widely considered to be a relatively accurate telling of Anglo-Saxon history. And the events of Ragnar's life only would have taken place 50 years previous to the creation of this chronicle. It would seem that we can rest certain that there was a much feared Viking chieftain by that name. With that said, it does appear that certain stories have been attached to Ragnar which are actually about other Viking leaders. In reality, it is likely that the fearsome Ragnar Lothbrok's legend was indeed built upon the reputation of the Ragnar who successfully raided Britain, France, and possibly even Ireland in the 9th century for large quantities of treasure. Then, in the centuries that passed between his travels and the subsequent recording of them, Ragnar's character absorbed the achievements and successes of other Viking heroes at the time. So much so that the sagas of Ragnar Lothbrok became a combination of so many tales and adventures, and the real Ragnar soon lost his place in history and was likely adopted almost entirely by the realm of mythology. So that was our brief history of the real Ragnar Lothbrok. hopefully made a little simpler and easier to understand. As I stated in the video, many accounts on Ragnar's life are extremely confusing and extremely contradicted, so we tried our best, given all available information, to create a pretty linear narrative to carve out the key events of his life. Hopefully you enjoyed and you got what you came for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to see more videos on Ragnar's sons and maybe even wives, then let us know in the comments down below. Also let us know what you think about Ragnar himself. We will see you next time on History Unlocked.